Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Ma'am Dewi. Today I will going to present the chapter 12 of the ACL, which is the fraud detection techniques using the sample project.acl file. The first one is to check whether there are payments to fictitious vendors. And to do that, there are several procedures. The first one is to sort. So we will going to sort the invoice number and vendor number to check sequential invoice numbers. We can gain the information or data through opening the AP trans, and then we see here vendor number and invoice number. So we can click data and then sort records, and then sort on. We will choose the vendor number and the invoice number, and then we click OK. The two, we will name it as sort underscore vendor underscore invoice. And then we click OK, just right. So here we can see the vendor number, invoice number in more sequential way or in order. So here, for an example, for vendor number 10025, he or she performed 5 transactions with different invoice number, obviously, and then different invoice date. We have some similar one. And then invoice amount in product number, quantity, unit cost, and then we have 102 records here. So this will give a more better view or more clear view for the auditor to check for fraud factors that could be used as consideration in determining a further fraud analysis. The second one will be using filter. So the purpose is to check fake suppliers with no physical facilities by filter the vendor records from invoice file that use PO box addresses. So here we could not find any PO box file. Therefore, I think we could not perform the filter. However, maybe here the vendor have the vendor address, however, separated into the street, city, and state, also the zip code. So for this, we can continue to the third one, which is to join. So the objective is to check if vendors have the same address with employee. If that happens, mean that maybe there are some employees that perform fake order to the company, and then or in accounts payable, they could give payments to the employee that have fake address, have faked their address and put it in the vendor file. However, we can check the data for address in the employee master. We have this, the address. But when we open the vendor file, as mentioned before, the address is not written similarly to what is written in the employee master. So there are, so we cannot perform the join as in joining the two tables. We need the same for the primary keys. For an example, we just click address, and then the second one will be from the vendor. However, there are no vendor address, and for that we cannot join the two table. The fourth one will be check for duplicates, to check for multiple companies with same address. To do that, we can reopen the vendor file, and then we can click here, analyze, and then we can look for duplicates. For the duplicates on, we can try the vendor street, while for the rest, we can try vendor city, and then the vendor name, and then the vendor state, and the streets, what we're trying to find, and then the last one will be the vendor zip code. And then we make sure that the output is to screen, and then we click OK. So here is the result. It is correct that it could check for multiple companies with same address. However, here we can only see the same address on the vendor street. So we have, for example, 100 Main Street with different city, with different vendor name, and obviously a different state and different zip code. So from 3 duplicates detected, this could give a lead to the auditor for further analysis. However, in here, there is no suspicious duplicates that could lead to fraud. And then for the last one will be ACL procedure to check expression builder to create a value range around the control threshold using the invoice amounts. So I think for invoice amount, we can see here in AP trans, we have the invoice amount. And then, however, there are no mentioned threshold. For that, we cannot perform the test. However, the way to do that is to add columns, and then we can click the invoice amount for the selected fields, and then for the expression, maybe like invoice amount higher than the threshold, or invoice amount that less than some threshold and then greater than some threshold to check it. And then we will continue to the second one, which is the payroll fraud. We here have the payroll table. The first one is to test for excessive hours worked using the expression builder filter, usually more than 50 hours. However, after checking the file a couple times, I unfortunately failed to find any work hours in the file. Maybe we can try to find the work hours using like the total paid, and then the amount to be paid per hour, and then we can divide it to find the work hour. However, the information that could be used for the calculation does not exist also. So we will try to continue by doing the second procedure, which is to check for duplicates, to test for duplicate payments. We can find employee with the same or similar characteristics. First, we can try to find the characteristics through opening the payroll table. However, we can first try to check for duplicates for all. Obviously, there are no duplicates detected. And the second one, we could try to instill some characteristics. So for an example, in the duplicates on, we can try for employee number and the net pay. And then for the list fields, we can check for check number, and then for the working department. Then we click OK. So here we found one duplicates with the same employee number 0000320 with the same net pay 1,330. Obviously, with check a different check number. However, in sequence 76 and 77 in different working department. meaning that if it is factual, then the the particular employee, work in different department. However, this could lead to a fraud or a fictitious payment to the employee, which considered as payroll fraud, because in a company, an employee could not be paid or could not give given work in the different department, but it could be factual also. So this will give considerations or lead for auditor for further fraud analysis in checking if there is payroll fraud for employee number 000320. The next one is the using the join feature. So here we will try to join between the payroll and the employee file. We can first open the payroll and then we click for join tables, and then we can choose the employee master. For the primary keys, I think it should be according to the employee number. So here, according to the employee number, we click OK. The secondary keys must be the same. So get rid of bonus, and then we can check for the employee number. We click OK. For the primary fields, we'll do check number and working department. This will be shown in the view, while for the keys it's only to relate. And then for the secondary fields, we could try the first name and last name. And then the name for this output will be joint underscore employee underscore we click OK. So using this, we can check or receive information regarding the check number, working department, first name and last name, which are separated before. And then after the join tables, we could give a few of this information at once. This is to test for non-existent employees, and the result should only contain records from payroll that do not match valid employee records. We can check that by first looking at the amount of records. We can count records, and then the result is 42 records. And then we can try to open the employee master. So the amount of the two should be the same, because here we try to find difference. For an example, like there are more than 42 records with check numbers. However, we only have 42 employees. It will be a lead for the auditor to check for the fraud. And then the last one is lapping for accounts receivable. So lapping for accounts receivable, the lapping is a way for the perpetrator in conducting fraud by manipulating the accounts receivable. For an example, the company or the employees in a company input account receivable data. However, he or she try to manipulate it. In doing that, he or she need to do it over and over again in certain period of time. So for that, if something suspicious in the checking, auditor could find it as a lead in the fraud, or could even determine it as a fraud. We will try the lapping accounts receivable using the open invoice method. However, in here, we need to find the remittance amount field. Remittance amount shows the amount that of good or services or products that have been shipped or transferred to the customer, and then we need to compare it to the cash receipts amount. So if remittance amount does not exist, we can use the cash receipts amount, and then we can use the invoice amount field, and then subtract it with the remittance amount or the cash receipt amount, invoice amount minus cash receipt amount, and then it will be shown in the view as one table. From that, we could search for carry forward amounts. However, as in here, the remittance amount and the cash receipts amount data are not exist. We only have the invoice amount. For that, I think we could not perform the last test, which is the lapping accounts receivable test. So I think that's all from me. Thank you for listening, and thank you for the time. I hope Ma'am Dewi could enjoy this ACL performance for chapter 12, fraud detection techniques. Thank you.